Welcome to Bill Myers Inspires. Today, we are delighted to have with us a special, very special individual, the leader of Kool and the Gang, Mr. Robert Kool Bell. Welcome, Robert. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Bill, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing just fine. Before we go any further, I just want to let you know that what an honor it is to have you on the show. I too am a musician, so I want to dive in a little bit on the music thing and get some insight from you on how I can become a better player, perhaps. But
Okay.
but yeah, so if you would just tell me the story of your beginnings in music, and then the creation of this legendary group called Kool and the Gang. It's an amazing, very long legacy that this band has been around and has influenced many, many, many folks, including myself. So if you would just set that stage for me, that would be awesome.
Okay, Bill, it started back in 1964, and we called ourselves the Jazziacs. Now, various members of the band love various jazz artists. My brother was into John Coltrane. Dennis D.T., he was into Cannonball Adderley. George Brown was into Philly Joe Jones. I listened to Ron Carter. And then, members Ricky West, Herbie Hancock, Charles Smith. He listened to Wes Montgomery. Anyway, we started off calling ourselves the Jazziacs.
Okay.
And then we got involved with an organization called the Soul Town Review. The Soul Town Review was trying to be like the Motown Review.
Okay.
So we got involved, and we changed our name to the Soul Town Band. And they were singing songs from Motown artists. So we had to learn all those songs by the Temptations, Smokey Robinson, the Miracles, the Supremes with Diana Ross, because it was females that we were backing up, also, and males. Of course, we were listening to, James Brown. So that was the Soul Town Band.
Okay.
We left the Soul Town Band, and we were working in a club in Newark, and the Blue Note, actually, the Blue Note Lounge, they called it at that time. And one of the master of ceremonies of the Soul Town Review came up with this idea. And he had a cube of ice. He had Kool, and he had the Flames. So he had Kool carved out in the ice and Flames under it. So anyway, we became Kool and the Flames. Now, when we met our first manager, Gene Red, his father worked with James Brown.
Okay.
And he said, you can't use the Flames, because that's James Brown and the famous Flames. So we didn't want to have any problems with the Godfather. So he said, well, what do we call ourselves? Yeah, just call yourself Kool and the Gang. That's how it happened. We became Kool and the Gang. We came out with our very first record called Kool and the Gang in 1969. Also, the album was called Kool and the Gang, and everything was Kool in the Gang.
Nice. That's interesting that you were the Jazziacs. I mean, such influence in the jazz. When I think of certain songs I hear, for instance, Too Hot. The little guitar riff in there is definitely straight out of the Wes Montgomery school.
Oh, that's Charles. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. Well, I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana, and that is the home of Wes Montgomery and a lot of the jazz guys. J.J. Johnson. We just lost Slide Hampton, one of the greatest jazz tromboners to ever play the horn. Yeah. So Freddie Hubbard. Yeah. Many. So, that is awesome. So you're now Kool in the Gang and you're handling your business. Did you find it interesting to make the little stylistic music shifts as the band was evolving? Because moving from the jazz thing and then to the Motown thing, not many guys know that all the Motown musicians were jazz guys themselves,
Yeah, those guys that was backing up and recording all those tracks. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you have with you today. So would you introduce the gentleman seated to your side there?
Yes, this is my son, Prince Hakeem. He goes by the name of Prince Hakeem.
What's up, Bill?
Hey, how you doing, Prince?
All
Should I
right.
call you Prince or Hakeem? I want to
Yeah.
be correct here.
It doesn't matter. Prince Hakeem, DJ Prince Hakeem.
Okay.
He's a DJ Prince Hakeem.
Doesn't matter.
All right, DJ Prince Hakeem. So tell me what you are working on right now, sir. Tell me a little bit about where your musical journey has landed you at this point.
At this point, I'm DJing and producing records. We got a song out on Sirius XM Heart and Soul called So Impressive. It's part of a 4-song EP gonna release pretty soon.
That's great. That's great.
Also DJing private events and different parties and stuff. The holiday season's coming, so we're gearing up for that.
Oh yeah. It's a busy time. It's a busy time for sure. Well, that's great. You know, I am delighted to have you on as well. And I want to learn a little bit. I've been looking up and I see that there are a number of activities that you guys are both involved in that are going on. Can you tell me a bit about the Kool for Kids Foundation?
Okay, I'll start off with that.
Yes, sir.
My wife came up with the idea and the name Kool Kids Foundation. And she wanted to bring music back into the schools. And we talked about it. Of course, I lost my wife several years ago. But one of the things that I wanted to do was continue her legacy and the things that she wanted to do. So there was a couple of things. Well, let me go back. And coming up in grammar school, actually, to high school, when you had a music class, you go in and you want to pick up an instrument. All of us did a little bit. The original members of Kool and the Gang. I tried to play a violin. Didn't like it. Tried to play cello. Didn't like it. I went to a horn, a mellophone. Man. I said, man, my lips will be messed up trying to play this thing. So I ended up, playing the bass guitar. But my brother, saxophone, the Spike Mickens, trumpet, and that was a good thing to have. And you don't have that anymore. So my wife said, well, how do we do that? How do we get music back into the schools? And that's when she came up with the Kool Kids Foundation. Now, I did a tour several years ago called It's Cool to Stay in School.
Okay.
And it was backed by Cherry Coke. And we did 40 cities, and we went into Oklahoma. And there was these students, because one of the criteria of the Kool to Stay in School that you had good grades and you go to school and and you try to make something out of yourself. Anyway, they said, hey, Mr. Bell or Kool, yeah, we're doing all that, but we want to sing a song for you. I said, okay, go ahead. And they did an a cappella of about 3 different songs. And my cousin, who was my first cousin manager, he said, hey, man, let's send those guys to New York. And they sent them to my other cousin, Royal, little band.
Mm-hmm.
And that group became Color Me Bad.
Wow.
And I Want to Sex You Up, and the New Jack Swing movie was coming out.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of Color Me Bad. So, but that happened through music, school. That's what I'm saying. So that was the whole thing about the whole Kool Kids Foundation and what we're trying to do. Now we've taken it to another level. Of course, my son here, the Prince, he's the president of the Kool Kids Foundation, and my other son, Muhammad, and another guy by the name of Mark Goldberg. And we're doing fundraisers, golf outings,
mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna let him tell you a little bit about that. What has happened with our golf outings?
Yeah, no, he pretty much summed it up. Kool Kids Foundation, and we had our 2nd annual golf outing with different celebrities came out, like Ja Rule, Chris Tucker, O.J. Anderson, Lawrence Taylor. and just raising money. So you can go on the website, www.coolkidsfoundation.org,
Mm-hmm.
and make a donation and help us raise some money for a good cause.
It's a great cause, and you are right. There's definitely a need in the public school system for some attention to be paid, particularly to the arts and music programs, because those are the first things to get cut, man. It really,
That's right.
it's so unfortunate, you know. I am certainly grateful for the music program in the public school I went to. That's for sure, you know. But things ain't what they used to be. That's
No, they're not.
things ain't what they used to be. So Kool. You are celebrating 50 plus years in the hit making business, not just the music business, but the hit making business. Now, how is it that you are able to keep your hand on the pulse of what's happening?
Well, yeah, it's been I mean, from 1964, it's been over 50 years. But the first record came out in 1969. We always try to evolve in what we were doing musically. After coming from the Jazz Jacks and Soul Town Band and Kool and the Flames, and our first record, Kool and the Gang, which was an instrumental record, and people thought we was a Spanish band because there was no singing. So a couple chants and was bongos and horn riffs, and so we moved on to that album, and that album had songs like "Breeze and Soul," a sea of tranquility, that what's his name that did that song? Sample that, King? D'Angelo.
Okay.
D'Angelo had some fun with that one.
Yeah.
And we covered like "Since I Lost My Baby" because we were backing up some of the Motown artists. Mm-hmm. So we moved on through, the early 70s. And then we had songs like Good Times and Funky Man, Funky Granny, all that kind of stuff. We just come up with any kind of name for our music. Yeah. And we kept changing. So the record company came to us one day and said, listen, you guys been doing all right. You got some territorial hits, Philadelphia, Virginia, maybe Connecticut, He said, but there's this producer who had this big hit by Mongo DeBango called Soul Makusa. He said, we'd like you to work with this guy. He just came off a big #1 record. So we met with him once time, maybe twice, and we wasn't feeling him. So we went to a studio in New York called Baggies. And we went in there about 8 o'clock in the morning. And we came out of that studio. We have created funky stuff, jungle boogie, and Hollywood swinging.
Wow.
So we had no more problems with the record company trying to tell us what we should be doing.
Right. Yeah, you handled your business, man. So you hit obviously a creative pocket there when you walked in there and were able to lock down those grooves, man, seminal grooves. That's awesome. Yeah. So let me ask you this. What's your favorite song?
Oh, man.
Of the song. Now, is that even possible to ask that? What is your favorite song? Kool and the Gang song?
Man, there's a lot of little goodies there, man. But I would have to say one of them was Summer Madness.
Okay.
Because Summer Madness was a part of a song called You Don't Have to Change. And the vamp of You Don't Have to Change, my brother was in the studio like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And he had just got that ARP synthesizer. And he was fooling around with it. So we came to the studio the next day and said, man, listen to this. And he had played a solo over the vamp of You Don't Have to Change. And Spice said, wow, man, what are we going to call that? Spice said, it's called Summer Madness. And that's how Summer Madness was created. Okay. Now, we didn't know that Summer Madness was going to be, and we just left Philly last week. We'll be in the Rocky movie. I asked Will Smith. He had a good time with Summertime. #1 record, platinum record, and so many other samples of Summer Madness. And then I have to say Ladies Night, because for Ladies Night, my wife and I was hanging out in New York, and JT had just joined the band. And we realized that every weekend there was a ladies' night. We was at, with Jeans and Studio 54. So I went back to the guys. I said, man, we should come up with a song called Ladies' Night. George Brown had been working on the music.
Mm-hmm.
And, so my brother and the guys said, wow, you know what? There's a ladies' night everywhere around the world. And that became my first record. And Frankie Crocker, the Hollywood Swing, he broke Hollywood Swinging too. Frankie Crocker broke that record, Ladies' Night.
Wow.
It became a huge record for us.
Yeah, yeah. That's certainly a favorite. Like I said, man, that little guitar riff is so sweet in there, and just the way that thing moves, it's just rich. It's rich.
How about you? What's your favorite Kool and the Gang song?
Man, there's something magical about Hollywood Swinging, quite frankly, that just gets under my skin. You know what I mean? It's just one of those that just kind of starts going and it don't let up. But as far as just like just a solid piece, again, I'd probably say Ladies' Night just sort of sits in this very musical, and that's because of the jazz influence in my life that I'm able to sort of gravitate to. Of course, celebrate. I mean, we can go on and on, but I would say for those reasons, I think that Ladies' Night is somewhat masterful because of, again, the influences that, depending on who's listening to it, if they hear those things, then they can really appreciate the depth of what you guys were doing and what you put together, and I really appreciate the the artistry of that. I love that whenever I'm able to hear some of that old school sort of fused into the then modern, what was happening. So but yeah, I love it. So
well, let me say this. Celebration came from Ladies' Night. My brother was another key writer.
Okay.
For Celebration.
Okay.
And we had just won 2 American Music Awards out in LA. And the vamp of Ladies' Night, This Is Your Night. Come on, let's all celebrate. This is your night. And my brother said, wow, that's another song. So we came back and he played this track for us. And it had that kind of down home feeling to it, Celebration, like grandpa and grandma sitting down there somewhere in Alabama on the porch drinking some lemonade or Kool-Aid and rocking in the rocking chair. And then that came up with that guitar part. And then that Yahoo. That's our biggest record today. Celebration. Can't get around it.
Wow.
But it came from Ladies' Night, though.
Wow.
It was from Ladies' Night.
So it's just a riff off of Ladies' Night, and all of a sudden there's another song there.
There's another song.
That's awesome.
That's those guys who sample our music. They get all the riffs.
Right.
Very popular,
Yeah. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. So I want to now get to collaboration that the two of you, Prince Hakeem and you, Kool, are collaborating on a single called Royalty.
Oh, that was Prince Hakeem, yeah.
Okay.
Talk about that?
Yeah. It was a song off my EP that I was telling you about earlier, Royalty. And the video is featuring Kool and the Gang and the horns and stuff in the video. And then they end up remixing it with their style, and they put it on their new album, Perfect Union, that's out now on all your streaming platforms.
Wow. That's nice, man. So now tell me how did that, did you guys discuss that, or were you just sort of like, again, hearing a riff coming off of that and saying, hey, we want a piece of that? How did that work? How did that work coming together?
Yes, no, I had the track already. Then my uncle Khalis heard the track, and then I asked him would he add horns to it and stuff. And he did. And then he liked it, and he said, well, I'm hearing some stuff too, and I would like to put it on our album one day when we come out with the new album. And they did. It's on there. Not sure what number, but it's Royalty featuring Kool and the Gang and Walt Anderson. And he just said he took the multi-tracks and added his stuff on it,
Yeah.
It was great.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Well,
So
you need to also add that was also a dedication to his mother because women are royalty, and his mother, my wife Sakina, was royalty. And
yes.
that father's inspiration too, I would say.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's his dedication to it. We just wrote it for women in general. But yeah.
Yeah, that's
Mm.
it's beautiful. I mean, when you're talking and I'm sort of getting the idea of the full family and the involvement and the interaction. I want to ask a question just to see where you go with it. I want to ask you, Kool, how important is the word legacy to you?
Well, a legacy is very important, because it's a time that you go through in your life, especially in this music industry, to become a legend, and as far as a legacy is concerned. Now, a lot of people come, man, you a legend, and speak about legacy. I feel like an ordinary guy, man. I still can go in Publix, man, and get a Pepsi or get something from the grocery store, and some people will notice me, and some people will not. And you know what? I like it like that.
Yeah.
But I'm known as a legend, and we have a legacy that we're building, over the years.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about that, Prince Hakeem? From your perspective, legacy. So you're on the other side of that. So I just find that to be a very powerful word, a very powerful thought, because you've just mentioned family, you've just mentioned influence and dedication and tribute to your mom. I mean, that's some special stuff, and I just think it's important that you have an opportunity to speak to that. So tell me about legacy from your perspective.
Yeah, well, it's a big family. So a lot of my cousins and stuff are doing their thing, whether it's real estate. Jenna Bell was a songwriter, and Rashid, and um, yeah. So we all have a legacy, I guess. That's kind of fell in our lap. We didn't ask for it, but we appreciate it. That we have to. Well, you can just let it sit there and grow, or you can figure out how to keep it moving and keep it um, tied in with culturally what's going on as the culture moves. You kind of want to see how you can intertwine the legacy to keep it, the new generations coming up to get familiar with the legacy. If you want to keep it going, so my niece and nephew, they can keep it going. I think you got to find ways to figure that out, to keep it going. I think legacy already, it's kind of etched in stone.
Yeah, yeah.
Legacy of their music, but how do you keep it going and, keep creative ways to keep the music and the legacy going,
Yeah, with the younger people, coming up. I mean, you have like, the Muppets did Jungle Boogie, and the Muppets did Celebration.
Mm-hmm.
So my little neighbors across the street, they're saying, well, that's the one that did the Muppet song. So they call it the Muppet song. But it was like 5 and 6 years old. Oh, yeah. I mean, so you talk about, kids from 5 all the way on up to, our career goes, we reach from 5 to 90 years old. You got, I saw a couple people was out of Chicago. They was stepping because, Summer Madness was a big stepping record.
Yeah.
So it's stepping at 90 years old, so that's a legacy. Our music, it just continues to grow. We have been blessed. Let's put it that way. We have been blessed.
Yeah.
And that continued our legacy.
But it'd be interesting to see how bands like Kool and the Gang, Earth, Wind and Fire, how 100 years, 50 years from now, how their legacy would be, respected and, it'd be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah.
I think kids will start digging into their old music that they're probably not hip to now.
Yeah.
And really start saying, wow, as you go on, say, wow, this, my God, you know what I mean? It wasn't just about celebration. It's had some serious music there, so.
Right. Yeah, I think music is just one of the most powerful gifts on the planet, period, the end. It just has a way of you know, moving from the biological side of it to the mental side of, you know, it just, when you start moving to the beat, it's a powerful thing. Because
and as a DJ, I guess it's my responsibility to keep them. I play the music, the 70s and their music. So as a DJ, that's a way to keep the legacy going too, because you're playing the music. You know, so that it's not just me, all the DJs. It's important for us to play this music, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why D-Nice, Questlove, those guys are doing pretty good, because they keep the 70s, 80s, and keep it recycled in their DJ sets.
Yeah. That is the key. That is the key. You know, and like what you were saying, Kool, about how, you know, the young folks are grabbing and copping riffs out of there and lifting stuff and reusing and repurposing and continuing to create off of that. So I guess that's you know, an honor on one hand that somebody, you know, thinks so highly of the riff. I mean, I understand the copyright piece of it, you know, about how far do you go, but I do think that it's important and special that cats are lifting that, you know, and that the grooves were that tight. You know what I mean? They were so tight that they still hold, you know, still hold up today. I just think that's wonderful. So, So you have a new business venture I want to dive into. So you are diversifying your interests, let's say. Tell us about this latest business venture that you are getting into.
You must be talking about the Kool champagne.
I yeah.
Started back several years ago. I was touring in France, and we had 20 shows that were sold out in France. So the promoter came up to me and said, "Listen, I'm doing the champagne on the late Barry White and the Barry White lookalike and one of the Bee Gees. And how would you like to, sell the champagne on this particular tour?" So I said, "Well, I don't think my fans are going to want to buy a bottle of champagne at a concert. You know, they're going to want T-shirts and caps and things like that." But I said, "But what I like to do, I want to get on the shelves." So he said, "Oh." I said, "Yes, I want to get on the shelves." And I said, "I want to be like Dom Perignon and Cristal and all those other boys." I ended up in Champagne country.
Yeah.
My partner, this guy by the name of Eric Morey, had a contact with the Birchall family. And I came up with a name called Le Kool, because I wanted to have a French vibe to it on the Le Kool side. And we came up with the Le Kool champagne, and we colored there with the Birchall family. And now we're really working it. This year has been our most successful year, and people are getting to know about the Le Kool champagne. We have 3 brands now. We have a Grand Cru. We have a rosé for the late days.
All right.
And we also have Blanc de Blanc now. So, and we're growing in America because it's a territory, it's state by state, and it's starting to really pick up. And that's how I got to the champagne business.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something. That's something. So you said this has been a good year. This particular year has been a good year for the champagne to.
Yeah, because people are getting to know it more, and we're working again a little bit, you know. But and then, you know, of course, I got my dream team, I call it, the Kool Champagne team, which Hakeem is a part of.
Yeah.
And my son Muhammad and Goldberg, and even my cousin Tony over here. We're small boys. We're working up. We're working our way up. You know, so one of those big boys knock on the door, like Southern Wines and Spirit. All the other boys that we too small. We getting down on it though.
All right. So Hakeem, tell me about this, from your perspective on Le Kool champagne.
Yeah, no, it's great. We got to get you a bottle.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it now. I want to definitely check this out. Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah, so you can taste it yourself. But it's fun. Like you said, it's a new business, so we're learning it. We're having fun, and watching it grow. You know. it's a marathon, so we're having fun with it. We have realistic expectations on, how long it may take to break and stuff. But right now we're having fun. So
yeah.
Well, that's good, man. That's good. So you have Lake Kool Champagne. I want to sort of shift just for a second because we're still sort of emerging from the COVID-19 thing, and that was such a big deal that affected everyone, and in some sort of way, just to be locked down for a good period of time. How has that affected you, Kool, and then Prince Hakeem? How is that experience of going through that affected you positively and or negatively? I'm just curious, what that period of that downtime that we all experienced. I mean, certainly, how has that served you?
Well, I think it has brought the family together, and families, not just our family, people being home and couldn't go out and getting to know each other again, that kind of a thing. Mm. And for me, I got more into the social media side because of that. We have a spot down in Atlanta. We call it the OTC, which is the Old Town Condo. And in our living room was nothing but cameras and stuff. And we're talking to the world. We're doing podcasts. We're doing Zooms, and we get more and more on that side of the business. Now we're starting to work again. We're starting to tour again. But that has been very, very helpful, in terms of that. The downside is that so many people are dying from COVID, and that's hard on me and people in general. The show that I'm doing now, I'm telling them, I'm saying, hey, what you got to say? COVID, go away, because we want to play. We want to see happy faces around the world again. That's my message. It's all in the hands of God. And, it's been a tough time, but we're coming through it. And maybe 2022, we will know what to do. Maybe they'll have a cure for COVID. In the meantime, we do what we do.
Yeah. Well, so now you've done, you mentioned, have you launched your own podcast, or you've been guesting on other podcast platforms?
We've been guests on other podcast platforms.
Okay.
My cousin Tony has a lot of ideas that we could get into next year, and also my son here.
All right.
Well, double exposure sends over the list of setting up interviews like this one. I assume they set this one up.
Yes.
They've been keeping it pretty busy.
Yeah. Angela does a great job, and keeping us busy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, I've certainly enjoyed my interactions, and very efficient. And so you got a great team, man. They're on top of it. So yes, this social media thing is a different beast, is it not? And just trying to get in the swing of that whole sort of thing, which of course I believe COVID really accelerated the necessity for social media and these types of online interactions more than ever. And I don't think we're going to go back. I think it's still going to remain as a piece, even when we're, back, full fledged. I think this technology is going to remain.
Well, I think my son here, Prince Hakeem, because he runs my Instagram, he runs my Facebook. I'm still kind of old school, so I got to ask him what's going on. And he just tells me what to do. And also my cousin Tony. Oh, you got an interview? Okay. So what we're going to talk about. But I do focus on the champagne and other things that I'm doing. I'm also a partner with Dusty Baker, and we lost against the Braves in Atlanta. But we have a project for solar energy for Africa. It's called Kool Baker Energy. And we will be doing things, God willing, next year, and in terms of Africa, I have an idea and a concept, called the solar energy tour, where you pull your energy from the sun, and like Africa and other places in the world where you don't have those generators of gas, bad gas smell blowing. You pull it from the solar, from the light from the grids. It's almost like I have a light up the world. We want to light up the communities,
Right.
with solar energy.
Yeah. That is good to hear. I am involved quite heavily in the Climate Reality Organization, which is Al Gore's. So the idea of climate change, I just want to share this with you because you just opened a can of worms. And by the way, all the best of luck on any of the endeavors as far as being able to implement more and more solar powered energy. But a good friend of mine has been involved in the climate reality, and he's testified in front of Congress numerous times and so on and so forth, and won one of the big annual prestigious awards for his work. His name is Tim Guinea. He's an actor. And I was talking to Tim because I just was doing a podcast kind of dealing with social justice and racism in America. And I was inspired right after the George Floyd thing. I was just sitting so disturbed by what I was experiencing, and of course being shut in. And I was like, I have to get in this conversation immediately. And but one of the questions I had was that was sort of bothering me was, is there a connection between racism and climate change? So I floated the question to Tim, and he sent back one word, which was overwhelmingly. And I had no idea what the can of worms that I was about to open. But all of these things, when we have even pandemic, we have any sort of health concerns that start going out, we start to realize right away that always African Americans and people of color are always the most likely and the hardest hit from whatever the thing is. And the statistics are 5 to 8 times whatever it is for, white folks or what have you. So you start to realize that these compromised immune systems, the water that are, in low income communities, water, air quality, they don't build factories and refineries out in the suburbs. You know what I mean? They kind of keep that. And so these essential workers and the people who are doing that stuff and are exposed over and over to these things become sort of beat down. Their immune systems, you really take a beating. So there's a lot to that. I don't want to go any further with that, but I just, I'm happy that you are, working in an area and sort of pushing the idea of that solar energy power. I think that's tremendous. So where does that go from here? What is the next move, or what is the strategy in Africa? Is it
Well, we're working with various organizations. I was just down in Delaware, in Dover, Delaware State University, Africa, for Global Africa, and we're continuing to try to find ways. The AU, I will become a part of the AU as a music ambassador to the African Union. So we can't give up. It's like people say, "Oh, it's so hard. How so many people die?" But you can't give up.
Right.
You sit back and don't do nothing. You got to try to do something.
Right.
I have when you listen to my album, there's a song called "Hold On." Now, "Pursuit of Happiness" is the first single, but there's another song called "Hold On."
Okay.
And if you listen to that song, you get an idea. Hold on, don't you give up. We got to keep moving. We got to keep pushing. You know? What else can you do? You know?
That's right. You just can't sit by and watch all this go down and not be affected, because that's that's you tomorrow, right? I mean, somebody else's today, but it's your tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, my kids and grandkids and their grandkids. We got to find a solution.
Got to find a solution. So you got the power thing. You've got. Africa, certainly clean water is still a big issue.
Oh, yeah.
That's still a big issue here, even in some of the Native American reservations and whatnot don't even have access to clean water. And that's in the US. I mean, so it's like going on even here that we're not, don't get the headline. And it's unfortunate, but you're right. We got to keep stepping. We got to figure out what we can do and then do that.
Right.
Try to help out. Prince Hakeem, what is your thought on this, man? Because you're in that next generation, and how do you see this level of commitment to our environment and climate and the well-being of others?
Yeah, no, it's interesting watching the climate change and all this stuff happening, just trying to learn as much as I can about it. I don't really have a comment on it, but I believe in it. I believe climate change is real. I know some people don't really believe it's real, but I do believe it's real. And however we can fix it. I try to do my part, whatever it is, recycle. I don't have a electric car yet, but maybe in the future. Right. Recycling. I definitely try to recycle and try to keep some type of conscious of it.
Yeah.
The electric car would be next, I guess, so you're not polluting the world with the gas and stuff.
Right. Well, that's great, man. I mean, again, and that's going to that awareness and that particular topic, I believe, is going to become even bigger and bigger in our day-to-day conversations. I do believe that because there's been such a shift. I mean, we're having all this really bad weather system, what they call events, that these events that normally occur historically every 50 years or every 150 years are now happening every 2 years. That things like that, I mean, these epic level floods and, all these kinds of things, hurricanes and whatnot. So, yeah, it's important that we pay attention to that if we want to continue to live. That's it, kind of bottom line, isn't it?
That's it.
So, well, gentlemen, this has been a pleasure. And so Tony's standing off to the side there, I guess, but I want to make sure that we have that you have my contact information and stuff so that you can we can stay in touch and we can follow up. I do want to make sure that now, should I send that to Tony or to Angelo?
Send to both.
Both. Yeah, send it to Tony and Angelo.
I got you. Well, gentlemen, this has been a fantastic opportunity to speak with you on my part. I mean, you are a legend for sure. And what a blessing it is that we can have this conversation. And I wish you all the best moving forward with the various ventures. I will be looking forward to that bottle of Kool champagne. Whenever you,
I make sure we get it to you.
Man, I'm looking forward to that. Man, it's been a pleasure. I wish you guys a blessed Sunday, and certainly you've been a blessing to mine. And is there anything else that you would like to say before we part ways this day?
Well, again, I always like to say that I thank my fans for supporting Kool and the Gang for many, many years, because it's an up and down situation. It's a struggle just like everything else. But we have been able to survive, and we thank you for that.
Wow. How about you, Prince Hakeem?
Yeah, no, thanks for having us.
Hey, man, you are so welcome.